Ludlow done before her, and try and just expand a little bit more in an attacking sense.
Well, I've just gone through the teams, and from a Welsh point of view, it is as you were. It's very much a Jane Ludlow-esque formation, with a few exceptions. Kerry Holland comes in for her debut, and Lily Woodham, a player who I think has impressed us very much since coming into the fold, making her debut last October in fact, she starts at left back.
Yeah, she's actually, so we've seen her a lot as a forward. You know, she came on, she scored on her debut, she said, against the Faroe Islands. She came on, made a massive impact against Norway in that last but one game in Cardiff City Stadium, again as a forward. But for Reading, she's actually been playing in like a wing-back role, so it's a role that she's probably quite familiar with. A big opportunity for her first start. And just looking at the way that the teams are going to line up, you can see straight away just the intent from Gemma Granger that she wants to be a little bit more, have a bit more of a positive mindset and be a bit more attacking with and without possession.
Well, as you can see on our pictures on our stream here, many of the substitutes and staff taking their places in the technical area here at the Cardiff International Sports Stadium. There is a running track, as you can see, around the pitch. Of course, because there are no observing fans here because of COVID-19, it doesn't make that much of a difference. And actually, the surface, the pitch out there, looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a superb pitch. Obviously Cardiff City ladies and the Cardiff women and the Cardiff City youth teams play here as well, so it's a pitch that's well looked after. Obviously, I'm sure the FAW would have wanted Gemma Granger's first game to be in a proper stadium, but this is the best of the next, and as you see the playing pitches, in superb position, and for both teams to try and put the ball down and play around with the possession strategy.
Some of the players emerging from the tunnel, and we await the national anthems as well. And it's a real test for Wales, this, because Canada ranked 8th in the world, one of the leading nations, experienced World Cup nation in women's football, so this is a huge test.
Oh, it's a massive game, but it's a game that you want to be playing in. You want to be testing yourself against the very best, and the Olympic bronze medalist twice, London 2012, and they narrowly lost out to America. I think he went to extra time at Old Trafford. Bronze medalists in Rio as well. They've got a good history with women's football, so it is a huge test, and maybe a really difficult one for Gemma Granger to try and set out the things that she wants to straight away. But then again, as you said, we're aspiring to get this level, so that's why we want to test ourselves against teams that are this experienced and this good.
Well, we await the teams, and Wales have played here before. They played New Zealand while that particular team were off to the World Cup. But here come Wales, led by Kayleigh Green, it seems, although Sophie Ingle is very much the captain of this team, although Kayleigh Green leading out the team.
It's her 50th cap today.
And you talk about players deserving of the half century. Kayleigh Green always puts in a shift for Wales, and she'll be hoping to get on the score sheet at some point this evening. When we talk about caps, what about a certain Canadian, Christine Sinclair? Remarkably, this is her 297th appearance for Canada, which is pretty astonishing.
Oh, I'm so excited to just watch her play, to be honest. What a professional to be still around, still playing with that amount of caps under your name, and the amount of goals that she scored. She's injured for the last camp that they had, but I think it's great that she's playing as well. Sophie Ingle will be going up against her, and she's one of the best players in the English league, coming up against one of the world's best players. It'll be a great experience for her.
And here come the Canadians, all in white, Wales in their traditional red. And of course Wales have another game coming up against Denmark on Tuesday across the road at the Cardiff City Stadium. But here at Leckwith, it is time for the national anthems.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Wales.
Well, as ever, the Football Association of Wales do a sterling job in playing the anthems, even when there are no supporters here to sing those famous words, and hopefully sooner rather than later we will have fans back cheering on this Wales team under a new head coach in Gemma Granger.
Yeah, I'll be definitely excited to have the fans back. I'm sure Gemma Granger would have loved to have had them here on her very first game, but obviously it's the same for each side. I'm just really excited to see this Welsh side with a tweak to the formation. You know, as you said, it's a very similar side. There's a lot of players playing that obviously were key members under Jane Ludlow, but in a different system, and I think with a little bit of a more attacking mindset, even in a big game like this against one of the the world's best nations.
The coin toss taking place between the two captains. The referee this evening is Kirsty Dole from England, and there we see Christine Sinclair and Sophie Ingle, two fantastic competitors, conduct the coin toss. And of course we don't want to dwell on past campaigns, but in a parallel universe, Wales would be competing in the Euro 2021 playoffs this evening.
Oh, don't remind me now, Simon. No, that's gone now, and good luck to Northern Ireland, who I think have already kicked off in their game against Ukraine. So we're obviously hoping that they over the two legs can come through.
This will start.
There will be a minute's silence
on the referee's whistle
in memory of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, who has sadly passed away at the age of 99. The minute silence will start on the referee's whistle. And in addition to the moment's silence, the Wales players as well wearing black armbands this evening.
Please remember that in football there is no place for racism.
Kaylee Green on her 50th cap will kick things off for Wales. What a moment for her. And we await the referee's whistle. Kirsty Dole. And in a week when Swansea City and other football clubs have observed a social media blackout due to recent incidents of racism, the players as well showing their opposition to all forms of discrimination. We're underway. It's a new era for Wales. Gemma Granger will be hoping to kick-start this new era with a victory, although it will be tough. And immediately, Wales on the front foot, up towards Natasha Harding. It is a 4-3-3 formation, Gwenno.
Yeah, as I said, I'm so excited to see this. You know, especially going up against a top nation like Canada, you'd expect us to maybe try and sit back, hit on the break like we've been so used to. And as you said, under the last manager, Jane Ludlow, Wales is so solid defensively, but you know, I think we've got the players most certainly technically good enough to pose these types of teams, pose problems to these types of teams. And in this formation now, you can see already the mindset in and out of possession. We're pressing a little bit higher as well, straight away.
Giles with the ball up towards Sinclair. Ingle gets an all-important touch, and it's a first touch for Wales. And through the midfield, that midfield of Fishlock and Harrod James, where Wales have been so fruitful. They've had so much success with these experienced players, and good to see young players like this young talent, Lily Woodham, come through the system as well.
Yeah, and I'll come back to that. Just a point before that, it's just exciting to see straight away. You know, we've normally got Jess Fishlock sitting in with Angharad James in that holding role, but Angharad James, as per usual, picking up the ball in that position just in front of the defence, as she does so well. And then a brave pass straight away, a bit of a straight pass, to be honest, which sometimes you say isn't the best type pass, can get intercepted, but you've got to be brave sometimes. Straight through the line to Jess Fishlock, who's playing a bit higher. That's where we want to see people like Jess Fishlock up higher in the, what we used to call the number 10 position, ready to create. And then we've got the likes of the youngsters then, Lily Woodham, Kerry Holland, breaking off that play.
Here's Carl back to Jadorski. Canada ranked 8th in the world, of course suffered World Cup defeat to England in the last tournament. The ball is with, well, it was down the channel, it was Gilles who just overhit it somewhat. It was Canada's record. In fact, it was a quarter-final defeat, I should say, in 2015. They lost 2-1 to England, but they have always been in and amongst the top teams in these major tournaments.
Yeah, and I think the last World Cup as well, they lost in the last 16 to Sweden, and they actually missed a penalty in that game as well. It was a tight performance, a tight game, a good performance. You know, there's a reason that they're ranked 8th in the world, you know, and we're a little bit lower, but as we've said, you know, these types of games are where we want to be to try and test ourselves and to improve to get to these levels.
Rose does well. Played an inward pass. Brought down by Quinn. Ball back to Jadorski. Well, you note the press early on from Wales. There's a lot of hard work off the ball. And clearly that is something that Gemma Granger wants to encourage. Ball on that far side, as you can see, with Carl again. And Canada much more patient in their build-up play.
Yeah, which you'd expect. You know, you're expecting them to have the majority of the possession.
One for Ingle to deal with. Well, Ingle took a heavy touch, that's unlike her. And the first real chance for Canada. And it's put wide. Well, it was Fleming who scuffed it wide at the end, but it was a corner. It did come off a Wales player, but
yeah, it was Kerry Holland. It was actually great work to get back, the recovery to get back in. Then it was actually a poor pass by Rhiannon Roberts in the first place, put Sophie Ingle under pressure. It looked like a bit of a miscommunication between her and Laura O'Sullivan. A bit poor play then from Ingle resulted in that near attempt.
Well, Sophie Ingle, normally so composed all over the pitch. the Wales captain. First corner then. And it goes Canada's way. Flicked on. And helping clear it away is Jess Fishlock. And it's the first free kick going Wales' way. Foul on Kayleigh Green. And that won't be the first time this evening that she'll be on the floor, having been on the receiving end of a tough tackle.
No, yeah, she gets on the end of quite a few, but she's clever in the way that she draws the foul as well. And we've seen that on numerous occasions over the last few years, that she just uses her body, positions her body well to protect the ball and win the foul and just get Wales a little bit higher up the pitch then.
Ball towards Green. Trying to out-jump Lawrence. Fleming carries it to Rose down the channel. And Lawrence will take this throw right in front of the Canadian bench. Bev Priestman, former assistant to Phil Neville, in charge of Canada.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting matchup as well, between Priestman and Gemma Granger, because they're actually quite similar if you look at their careers so far. A lot of their work has been done in the youth, and now they finally both got the opportunity at senior first as the manager on the first team level. I'm sure they're both just so eager to get their ideas across. They've both worked under the English system with the youth teams, both worked under Mark Sampson. We're at the Euros where England lost in the semi-finals. So it'll be an interesting matchup between these two actually, and you can see straight away in terms of the systems, they're both actually quite, as I said before, with the mindset quite positive, attacking with their mindset.
Gemma Granger gained her UEFA Pro licence in 2016. As you said, Gwenan has considerable experience in youth football at the FA, but this is the sort of opportunity that I don't think many would turn down. This is a Wales team certainly growing in stature and reputation, and some good young players coming through. Ball over the top from Quinn, and this is for Sinclair to chase. Sophie Ingle not putting her foot wrong on this occasion.
No, she read that well, then she wasn't put under any unnecessary pressure by her own team, so just ball over the top, and she's read the space well. You'd expect her to win the battle speed-wise against Christine Sinclair in terms of her age, but my God, someone that's got 297 appearances and 186 goals to their country is someone that you've got to be very wary of, so she'll be following her every move.
It is astonishing, isn't it? 297, and she scored more international goals than any other international player, man or woman. 186 in all, and has scored and played in 5 World Cups, which says it all. But this is Heitema who's trying to get on the end of this. Ball to Gemma Evans, playing as a centre-back this evening. Because we're so used to seeing Sophie Ingle with other defensive partners, the likes of Hayley Ladd, Lauren Dykes.
It'd be interesting actually, because I do think that if Hayley Ladd was available, she obviously would have started. She's one of our best players, technically one of our very best players. I think she would have probably sat in the defence as well, and it maybe would have allowed Sophie Ingle to go into midfield. I do think that something Gemma Granger will be looking to do, as we've seen with Jane Ludlow at the end of her reign, was to play her where she plays for Chelsea in that defensive midfield role, because she just sees things so much quicker, and she's a brave player as well. She's not afraid to pass between the lines and open the game up for Wales.
First touch for LeBay, the captain, out to Giles. Under pressure from Jess Fishlock. Yeah, we're not used to seeing Jess Fishlock this high up for Wales, but as we know, offensively as well as defensively, to coin a North American term, she is just as adept. Here's Rose taking on Woodham. Took a heavy touch, and Woodham has stuck with her, did well. Wales struggling to clear it away. Lawrence tried that short pass. Maybe the option was there to put it in the middle for either Sinclair or Heitema.
Yeah, but you can see already, fair play, Kerry Holland's been superb in that role. So you can see, Wales are used to playing, especially when we're in these types of positions where we're trying to sit back and allow them to have a bit of possession, draw them onto us, set the trap. That Wales has normally got 5 in the back, but we're just adapting to having the 4 in the back, and then we're still playing with one midfielder up in support of Kayleigh Green, which is really nice to see, because we've actually got a bit more of an out ball now, and what we've seen is Kerry Holland then drop back in to help Angharad James in that shape, and they've worked really well in his opening 10 minutes.
Yeah, big occasion for Kerry Holland, and just that feeling, Gwenan, of winning your first international cap. It's one of great excitement. She's 23 years of age, plays for Liverpool.
I was certainly excited, and I only came off the bench against Moldova, so to be starting against Canada is, you know, some game. But what a game, you know. Obviously Gemma Green just got a lot of faith in her, and that'll give her a lot of confidence, because she was, you know, voted the Championships Player of the Month last month for Liverpool since she signed. She scored 3 goals in 6 games, so she's obviously really confident at the moment, on good form. So why not put her in if she's been playing well in training, which she has. The players have been really impressed with her.
Giles, heavy touch from Rose. We're still awaiting the first real chance of this game. James couldn't get there. It's Quinn. Good ball out to Carl on that left-hand side. Quinn again. Fleming. And the eventual cross did come in. It is another corner, and Canada starting to push now, starting to turn the screw.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the talent of Jessie Fleming there. She's going to get in between the lines and pick up those little pockets of space. So it just needs to be better communication between the Wales defence and midfield in, just to make sure that, you know, they're checking their shoulders and trying to screen the pass, block the pass into her, or pick her up then, because, you know, you can't allow her in those positions to turn and thread passes through.
You'll notice Quinn on that near post. That was the tactic last time, but it's played in towards a more central area and hacked away in the end by Sophie Ingle. No time for technique or exquisite play there. You've got to get it out, you've got to get it out.
Well, what's the saying? If in doubt, kick it out. I think they're a bit old school with that, but, you know, it's effective, isn't it? But Wales just need to be aware then, because we had a free player from set pieces. We were good defending set pieces for a long while, but then under the last campaign we did used to tend to switch off a little bit. So just need to ensure that, you know, every player is picking up and is well aware, and they're not just following the ball, they're following the player as well.
Here's Carl again. Closing her down is Anhara James. Scott tried the pass but snuffed out by Roberts. And Canada, well, they've won the free kick. Referee could have played advantage there, but it was good refereeing, and Canada do have a free kick, and that's worrying for Wales and for Gemma Granger. It's not that unexpected that 15 minutes into this game, it's Canada doing all the pressing and all the threatening for Laura O'Sullivan's goal.
Yeah, but they haven't created any major chances from them. The only chance that they have had has come actually from that poor back pass through. So Wales will be pleased with that, but they'll just want to just keep possession a little bit higher up the pitch and impose themselves.
Well, it's a teasing ball headed away well by Rhiannon Roberts, who got a strong header on it, puts it out for a corner, and in fairness to Roberts, I don't think she knew what was behind her, so took the right option, but to put it behind. Yeah,
she certainly did, because there were 2 unmarked Canadian players. So again, from a set piece, Wales just need to be switched on. As I said, follow the player. Don't just look at the ball. You need to open your body up so that you can see the ball and the player, and that you're following and blocking that player's run.
Again, it's a packed penalty area, and plenty of white shirts to aim for, and O'Sullivan has missed it. Wales get out of jail a bit there. Jess Fishlock can start a counter-attack. Green leading the chase, and that's good recovery, good play from Lawrence to play it back to LeBay. And Canada have been forced into a mistake, and it is a Wales throw. Jess Fishlock there.
Yeah, this is exactly why it's pleasing to see her in a higher position, because she is so strong in those positions, driving through. There's not many players in the world that can stop her when she's on a run like that. I personally would have liked to have seen her carry it a little bit further. It was just a miscommunication between, you know, herself and Kaylee Green with the run there. But these are positions that we want to get her in, and get her in more often as well.
Well, Jess Fishlock will know all about the North American style of soccer. She's a big favourite in Seattle, of course. Will have come up against many of these Canadian players in North America. There's Jaworski. Of course, a big adventure ahead for Anhara James, who is agreed to go out to North Carolina.
Yeah, I think it came as a surprise to a lot of people, but I'll be honest, that I didn't find it a surprise. I think especially her performances for Wales over the last 18 months, she's been our standout player. You know, she does so much of the dirty work, the unseen work, breaking down play, and those players are so important, and they maybe don't get the plaudits and the credit that they deserve, or maybe that the forwards get. But you know, she is such a good player. I said last year, I think if she added goals to her game as well, and developed into more of a box-to-box midfielder, and she probably would get a little bit more praise, but for what her role is, she does it so well, and it's exciting to see now 2 Welsh players carrying the flag over in the American League.
Ball over to this near side, and Lawrence, she's got the support of Rose, goes for the early cross instead, and it is a free kick to Wales. Decent delivery that from Lawrence, mixing it up. Canada showing that they're just as adept at putting crosses in as well as playing in and around the penalty area. Rhiannon Roberts took a knock there.
Yeah, it was a brave header. She had, I think it was Sinclair just in front of her, and then she had Heitman just behind her as well. So again, another important header from her. She was superb in the last 3 or 4 games of the Wales campaign as well, the last European qualifying group. But yeah, you're going to see Canada putting a lot of crosses into the box, and as you'd expect, with a forward of the physical prowess and the goal-scoring touch of Christine Sinclair.
Long kick forward from O'Sullivan up towards Kaylee Green. Good header away from Giles. Gemma Evans opted to go long, and Kaylee Green, well, she'll run all day for you. Nothing wrong with a long ball as long as it's accurate, but I think that is the type of play that Gemma Granger would like to overly encourage, and certainly not what she's about.
No, but I think if you've been under pressure like Wales have been, we've stuck our own half a little bit, then you've got to hit the long ball, just turn the defence around, spend a little bit more time higher up the pitch. You'd want that ball to be played down the channel a little bit more, give Kaylee Green a better chance to get on the end of it instead of a straight ball through. But there's nothing wrong with playing a bit direct at times, more so tactically, just as I said, to turn the defence around and just get the team higher up the pitch.
Ingle to Roberts, making the run. Harding onside.
Well, Tash Harding's no slouch, so to be caught up and passed there by Carl, I think she's obviously very, very quick, good athlete.
And the other thing about Natasha Harding, we've seen her in all sorts of formations and positions. We've seen her on the wing, up front. We've even seen her at left back on a few occasions, haven't we?
Well, she plays full-back for her club. As a lot of the players have been used out of position, so to say. You only got to look at Kaylee Green. She started her career as a centre half, and she's forged herself now as a centre forward, which is a good quality that you can, that you're able to be a bit more versatile. But at times you just want that consistency as a player to be playing in the same types of positions.
Carl slams it out after Fishlock showed a bit of initiative to run down that wing in this goalless game. Canada recently competing in the Invitational She Believes Cup. Did record a victory over Argentina, but defeats to USA and more recently Brazil. Ball is with Harding again, out to Roberts. It's a strong defence to go and get right. That's a decent cross in towards Green. That's the quality that Anhara James possesses.
Yeah, that was a great ball, but Wales just got to be quick now to get back in this transition phase.
Sinclair to Rose. He's got options. Tried to find Lawrence, the oncoming right back. Wales with a torrid time perhaps down this left-hand side. It's certainly big job for young Lily Woodham. Combination play between Rose and Lawrence has been good so far. And it's a left-foot surface. I'm sure you would have played on this pitch a few times over the years, Gwenan.
Well, I'm that old. I played at the last Leckwith when it was over the road at the Cardiff City Stadium. But yeah, so when I made my debut for Cardiff, this was the pitch that we played on, and it is a lovely surface to play on. You can't have any complaints about that.
And Wales looking to get the ball down and play on this surface. Here's Harding. Fishlock just behind her. Scott recovering.
Yeah, you can see exactly what she's trying to do, just the accuracy just not quite there. Fishlock needed that pass from Harding and played in front of her into her stride, but again, promising signs at times. Just Wales playing a few neat passes between each other in the midfield area.
Lawrence, nice ball to Rose, tremendous sliding tackle, beautifully timed from Gemma Evans, and it had to be. It's one of those that if you're a second too late, You're going in the referee's book?
Yeah, I think she's one of those old school type defenders, isn't she? She loves the slide tackle when she can. I think, you know, Rio Ferdinand said if you're doing a slide tackle, then you're out of position. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the slide tackle now and again. And she's been playing really well for Bristol as well. Bristol been struggling in the league, but have picked up a bit of late.
Fishlock. She's been battling. Lost that particular battle.
Yeah, you can see what she's trying to do. She's trying to use a little bit of skill to turn, but just couldn't quite get away from Sadowski.
There's Quinn under pressure from Kayleigh Green. Asha Harding, the nearest Wales player to the ball. And here's Fishlock. Wales started to get a bit more on the ball, but they can't afford to give the ball away. It's a ball over the top. Lily Woodham does well to find Rachel Rowe. Oh, it's given it away, and you can't give Sinclair that sort of room. Good save from Ron O'Sullivan, a real test from a player who knows where the back of the net is.
Yeah, when you give the ball away, you certainly don't want to lose it to her as well, to Christine Sinclair. I'm not sure what was going through Rachel Rowe's mind there. I don't know if she just didn't see. I can't make any excuses for that type of pass, to be honest. You know, especially when we've worked hard to get the ball back. You just want to ensure that we then can maintain a couple of passes, just get a little bit more of a pattern of play going.
Canada have another corner from their left-hand side. They've threatened. Can they do more than that now? O'Sullivan, good punch. Committed herself. And Wales do eventually clear it away. It was a poor ball in, really, from Rose. Laura O'Sullivan, we like to see her confident coming for crosses.
Yeah, well, she missed the first one, didn't she? So I think it'll do a lot for her own confidence that she came out and got a good, strong hand on that one.
And still very much Wales' number one.
Yeah, I think the two youngsters that are coming through in Poppy Soper and Livy Clark, I think, you know, they're definitely ones for the future, and they'll probably be putting a bit of pressure on Laura O'Sullivan as well, because, you know, when you're young and you're fearless like that, you've got absolutely nothing to lose, and I'm sure she'll be feeling a little bit of pressure, Laura O'Sullivan.
Quinn playing it to Sinclair. Quinn again. Carl had made that run. Kind of just waiting for that killer ball. Play from Quinn. No room to cross. That's a lovely through ball, but excellent interception from Rhiannon Roberts.
Yeah, and you just frustrating again. You know, Wales just the masters their own downfall at the minute. You know, just cannot keep possession, and just silly passes then, giving possession straight back and putting pressure straight back onto us. But in terms of defensively, the shape looks really, really good. I think we're hard to break down. At times, one of the midfielders is dropping in, just to make it a little bit more crowded there. But yeah, you know, I think Canada is struggling at the moment just to break us down.
Incisive pass is needed. It may come from Carl here. That is a good cross. Ingle with a header away. Evans completes the clearance. It's with Scott. Wales have a free kick. Well, just as well, really. It was a period of sustained pressure from Canada.
Yeah, but
Cara James may receive treatment here.
Oh, she doesn't stay down often, so no, she'll be back up. It's just frustrating in terms of, as I said, Wales masters their own downfall, because every time that we do, you know, we win it back, we pinch it back, or good piece of defending, we just cannot then keep hold of it, and we're giving it back with passes which, for me, are inexcusable, because you're not under pressure. If you're under pressure, you can, or you're trying to thread a through pass and you're being a bit brave with the pass and you give it away, then, you know, fair enough. But when you're under no pressure at all, at this level, you should not be losing possession of the ball.
Kayleigh Green has come across to the bench with Gemma Granger, the new Wales coach. Free kick to be taken by O'Sullivan. Well, for players like her, who've been involved in the Wales setup for so long now, how special it would be to get to that World Cup in New Zealand, Australia. That is the ultimate aim of any player.
Yeah, and that's what I think these two friendlies against Canada and Denmark are so exciting, because we are testing ourselves against teams that will be going to the...
All over the top from Quinn, the flag has stayed down. And that's 1-0, good finish from Rose. The ball from Quinn was exquisite, and Rose finished with great authority past O'Sullivan. It's 1-0, and you have to say it has been coming.
Well, it's certainly been coming. You know, they've been putting a lot of pressure on Wales. They've been in the Welsh half for the majority of this first half. Great finish as well. I thought originally that she might have actually let it go, run a little bit too far past her. Thought she was tightening the angle off her, or closing the angle off for herself, but you know, she connected really well. And normally you see players go back across the goal there, test the goalkeeper, but she had the power to go front post. From a Welsh perspective, you know, really poor goal to concede, especially straight through the middle there. Miscommunication between Woodham and Gemma Evans. You know, it's disappointing. You shouldn't be beaten by a through ball, a straight through ball like that, especially when there's no pressure on the player delivering the ball through either.
Deanne Rose of Florida Gators, the 10th international goal and what is her 52nd cap. And I think the Wales players were looking for that offside flag. It was a very clever ball from Quinn, and the flag never came. And I think, in fairness to Deanne Rose, she was onside, only just, but I think we were nicely placed, weren't we?
Yeah, she looked onside from here. Obviously, we haven't got the bonus of having a screen and replays and VAR and everything like that. But yeah, she looked onside from here. I think just the body positions of the Welsh defenders maybe just caught a little bit too flat, a little bit too square on, to be honest. Should have opened their bodies, expecting that pass through, considering there wasn't any pressure on the player playing the ball through.
So Canada have the lead, and it'll be interesting to see how Wales under Gemma Granger will respond to this disappointment. It's taken midway in the first half for Canada to take that lead, so Wales have kept them at bay.
Yeah, as I said before, I think we could see straight away, just in terms of the formation that Wales are playing, in possession, out of possession, that we've got a little bit more of an attacking mindset, but it is a little bit early. You know, I think she's only had about 3 days with the players to implement everything that she wants to. So she's never going to be able to have implemented every single thing that she'd like to. She's probably just cutting it down to the main basics that she feels necessary for this game. So it's going to take time, obviously, but as I said, you know, we want to be playing these types of nations to be testing ourselves. They're the benchmark we want to be getting to and playing against regularly in major tournaments.
Roberts slipped as she hit that, the attempted cross. Was the other thing as well, COVID-19 hasn't exactly helped preparations for all sports people. So Roberts does put in a better cross this time. It was a lovely cross, hit on the half volley, but with so many committed forward, it's Canada who have the chance to break here.
Yeah, and that's what Wales just have to be wary of. But good pressure by Wood, and there was originally great play, as you'd expect once again from Angharad James, you know, in there breaking up play, and a brave pass through here as well.
Good touch from Rowe.
But again, you know, just the difference in Wales actually allowing more bodies to go forward and being more positive, trying to really push people forward to search for that goal. You know, that's something that we didn't see so many bodies being committed forward under the last manager, which, you know, obviously straight away we can see a difference here.
Not too many options for Lily Woodham here, unless she goes for the old Connor Roberts and launches it into that penalty area. I suspect that she's looking for the short runner. And here comes Fishlock. Rowe has also called for it, but it goes to Kaylee Green. Back out Woodham. Good left-footed cross. She's got a really cracking left foot. Of course, scored with her head when we saw her against the Faroe Islands on her debut. And Wales getting forward again here. Harding to Roberts. This is a good move. Roberts took a deflection and caught by LeBay in the Canada goal.
Yeah, but good reaction from Wales since we've conceded. You know, as you said, we've committed bodies forward there. And obviously, Rhiannon Roberts would have loved to have had that opportunity on her right foot, not her left foot. But strike on goal, just unfortunate. Kaylee Green, you know, you could see by, you know, the way she was preparing herself, she was ready to follow the shot in. She wasn't ready for the deflection, but as I said, you know, a good reaction from Wales since conceding.
And down this left-hand side as well, which has been quite quiet so far. Canada want the free kick. They do get it. Sinclair has gone down. And the referee seemed reticent to blow a whistle there, but I think there's something quite troubling here, because the players, you can always tell by the players' reaction that they feel that this could be quite a nasty injury to Sinclair. Hopefully not, but on come the medical staff.
Yeah, and you could see as well just by the player, you know, when the player punches the ground like that, you can see that they're in a fair bit of pain. Really unfortunate if it is a significant injury, because she's only just got back, and she's obviously such an important player for Canada as well going forward, because they're obviously preparing for the Olympics as well. That's why they've got this game. They've got England then on Tuesday, I believe.
Plays football in Portland, and in 2017 was named an officer of the Order of Canada. So a proper legend in terms of Canadian sport.
Yeah, and you can see the physio there straight away, pointing across that she needs to be subbed off. So obviously I think everyone in Wales here will hope that she hasn't. You know, it's just a precaution. It's not a significant injury, because she's, you know, one of the world's best players. You never want to see an injury to someone like that, especially, as I said, leading up to a major tournament that they're preparing for.
Well, that's the view that we've got as well in the commentary position. Sinclair unfortunately flat on her back and looks to be grimacing in pain, and that is not a nice sight. It does give both teams the opportunity to regroup with their coaches, with Bev Priestman of Canada, and there you see on our screen the Wales set up under Gemma Granger. As Wales will play Denmark on Tuesday across the road.
Yeah, and that's again another great fixture, great test for this Welsh side. You know, with building towards the World Cup qualifiers, with the expansion of the Women's World Cup from 24 teams to 32, there's actually more teams from Europe actually being able to qualify through. So all the group winners, the draw's the end of the month, I think, all the group winners will automatically go through, but all the second places will go into the playoffs as well. So Wales will probably be ranked third, right at the top of the third ranked teams, and they'll be coming up against teams, I think Denmark will probably be ranked second, so they're coming up against teams like Denmark that they'll have to try and overcome, being third ranked obviously, to try and qualify either in that automatic position or more realistically in that playoff position. So again, it's a superb fixture. I think these two games are really exciting games that the FAW have organised.
Well, Sinclair has hobbled off here and is receiving treatment on the sidelines. And whether that's an indication that Canada will be temporarily down to 10, or whether Sinclair can return to action, or whether Bev Priestman will be forced into a change. We're back underway. Canada have the ball, uncontested drop ball under the new FIFA rules, of course. It's funny you predicting seedings and qualification.
Yeah, I could be wrong there.
We did this before before the European Championships, and unfortunately it didn't go Wales's way. But it's so hard to predict, isn't it? You know, so much can happen in a campaign.
Yeah, I think Wales will take a lot of confidence from the campaign 2 years, well, 4 years ago, sorry. So when we were playing against England, you know, England were ranked first in the group and Russia were ranked second, and we took it to the very last game. We didn't concede until that very last game. So it just goes to show that sometimes the rankings don't equate to everything. I really do believe, obviously I'm biased, but that the standard of this Welsh squad is more than good enough, more than capable enough to be challenging those top teams now, especially if we are just allowing ourselves to be a little bit more positive in the way we go forward as well now.
Evelyn Viens is replacing Christine Sinclair, so such a shame from the reverse way from Wales's point of view. It's a bit of a boost to see someone so prolific in front of goal go off, and Wales trying to attack again through Harding on that far side, goes out for a goal kick. But it is just 1-0, and that is a positive. I'm sure that Gemma Granger can take as we close in on that half-time whistle.
Yeah, you can see what else, the way they set up, you know, in a high press, you know, forcing Canada to go long, not allowing them to, trying to force them to go long, not allowing them to play out, and then, you know, pressing a lot higher in more attacking positions.
Fishlock is there to be hit. It was well blocked, set up by Rachel Rowe. Woodham trying to play it to Anhara James in a forward position. Wales with that high press again. Here's Quinn. First touch for Viens. And a throw in for Woodham again.
And I like that, seeing Wales press high. because even the best teams in the world struggle to play out from the back, you know, under pressure. So if you can get that press right, you're going to win possession of the ball up a lot higher, and it'll result in something like we've seen with the shot from Fishlock.
Here's Rose, the goal scorer. Good recovery from Angharad James, helping out Lily Woodham, and you could see the appreciation there from young Lily Woodham that James helped her out defensively after she gave the ball away.
Yeah, well, that is part of her role there, Angharad James. She knows that as the main midfielder that sits in that defensive midfield role. She has to cover the full-back sometimes when they go forward. Obviously, you know, she made a mistake this time, but you know, she reads the game so well, and Lily Woodham then's got the pace to try and recover back in as well.
Lawrence with the throw for Canada. Quinn has made a run into the penalty area. Lawrence goes short to the goal scorer Rose. Rose with a left-footed cross, a hasty cross really, as it comes back to Giles. Kaylee Green almost intercepting. Rachel Rowe does so. Holland, Rowe, and safety first back to O'Sullivan. Lovely touch to Ingle. Angharad James, she had two players on her then. Did well to find Ingle. Well, never mind Wales pressing. Canada equally as impressive off the ball.
Yeah, as you'd expect, you know, they're not going to sit back and allow Wales to have possession. You know, they're going to be pressing from the front and trying to, as I said before, win that possession of the ball back a lot higher, because those positions are really hard to for other teams then to come back and defend from if they have in their original setup pushed bodies forward.
Throw in for Canada, Carl to take. It's a narrow lead that Canada will be looking to expand upon. Ingle, incredible. Sophie Ingle in those short, tight spaces, how she manages to find so much room. It was a real joy to watch. There's very few better than her in that regard.
No, there's really not, and you could see that. You know, she's a key member of the Chelsea side that's already won a title this season. They've won the Continental Cup. They've, you know, first in the league, and they've got a massive Champions League semi-final coming up against Bayern Munich as well in a couple of weeks, and she's an integral part of that squad and that team.
Rose against Woodham. Lawrence has made the run, early cross from Rose. The wrong option really, far too close to O'Sullivan. And the Wales goalkeeper finds Roberts on that far side. Ingle again brought into play, but Wales, as soon as they try and pass their way out of defence, they're pushed back, squeezed back by this hard-working Canada team. There's O'Sullivan. Sullivan finds Woodham, one of a number of Reading players in this Wales squad. Never mind the Welsh Mafia at Tottenham.
Oh yeah.
It's the Welsh Mafia going on at Reading,
I think the original Welsh Mafia started at Reading, if I'm honest. But no, it's good to see a good balance there as well, with having some naturally left-footed players. You know, we have played with Tash Harding or Rachel Rowe in that position before, but we've got Gemma Evans and Lily Woodham. Just gives us a better balance with having those left-footers in the team.
Green tries the flick on, beaten to it by Lawrence. Rose trying to link up there with Fleming. Canada haven't had it all their own way. That final pass, okay, it was a good finish from Rose to give them the lead, but Canada have been perhaps guilty of the odd sloppy pass as well. They haven't been as clinical maybe as they would have liked.
No, I think they have made, you know, a few changes with England in mind. You know, I think we'd be a bit naive to say that they haven't. You know, I think there's 5 players, or 5 players started the game that started their last 16 round in the last World Cup. You know, they've got a very similar squad. I think there's only a couple of 4 or 5 new players from the World Cup to now. So, you know, they've still got a lot of experience there, but they've got some players that they're trying out as well. So they're just trying to, you know, try different combinations before, as I said, building towards the Olympic Games this summer.
Roberts with the long ball. James battling for it. Flick on from Green. Didn't get the best of contact, and it's fallen to Rose.
To be fair, he was blasted into it. And I think Wales need to just help help themselves a little bit with the quality of the passes into the players. It's really difficult to control something that blasts at your head.
In fairness to Kaylee, I did think it actually hit her in the face as well, so she did well not to go down. But Kelly Green, 50th cap, a player who, as you say, started her career as a defender. Very much, for Wales fans, has been a hero in attack. We all remember that famous goal against Russia, that memorable performance in Newport at Smithy Park.
She was a bruising defender as well. You wouldn't get on the wrong end of it. I used to play with her at Cardiff, because she's quick as well. Sometimes she'd get sucked in, but she'd make the recovery tackle really, really well. But you wouldn't want to be going up for 50-50 against her. She's got a very feisty side, as we can see, but we like that because she brings that, you know, and she sets the tone for us defensively from the front.
Giles with the ball over the top, looking for Viens. Green has gone down. Referee, no whistle from her. Jess Fishlock penalised on this occasion. I think Fishlock is making the point, well, if that was a foul, what was that incident a few seconds ago? But nevertheless, it is a free kick, and Canada will be looking to double their lead, perhaps. Set piece is vital to these Canadian players, with the likes of Heitemer in that penalty area. And you'll notice every single outfield player almost camped outside the D, waiting for this delivery.
There's a mismatch in terms of numbers there as well, I think.
And the referee has gone over to sort something out, pushing and shoving perhaps. Fleming's delivery is not a bad one towards that back post. They're all queuing up for it. Wales desperately trying to get it away, and it's hit the side netting. It was a snapshot from Szydowski. Well, swiveled and hit the side netting.
I said there was a mismatch in numbers, and then there was 2 extra players left over at the back post there. And, you know, if it wasn't for that just vital positioning by Sophie Ingle there, I think it would have been a different story.
We're approaching the half-time stage of this game, and it's an awkward clearance from O'Sullivan. That's put Gemma Evans under real pressure. In fairness to Evans, she did very well there. And could kickstart a counter-attack here. Flick on by Fishlock. Runs into trouble through Giles. Fishlock again battling for it. Could fall to Harding. Green in there too.
I loved seeing that, you know, Wales are trying to play out the back and maybe be a little bit more expansive. But I do still think at times you just need to be aware of the situation and the timings as well. Just before half-time, you don't want to concede. So when you're under pressure like that, there's nothing wrong with, as we've said before, just sending the ball a little bit longer, trying to turn the defence and take the pressure off yourself.
Ingle.
Just knowing the right time, I think, to play and not.
What an important interception that was by Ingle, by the way. Over to this near side, Rachel Rowe, another one of the Reading contingent. Huge character in this Wales team and tenacious winger. Scored memorably out in Belarus, an important goal in qualifying. That was her first goal for Wales. And here she is on the ball.
Yeah, she's one, you know, a versatile player as well. That's played in numerous positions for Wales, but has been playing really, really well in an attacking position for Reading. Scored a few good goals of late as well. I think Kerry Holland, for me, has settled in really well in this first half. I've been really impressed with her.
And he don't play for Liverpool for nothing. Clearly someone identified by Gemma Granger as someone who can contribute to this Wales team as the ball goes back to O'Sullivan. And it is just 1-0. We should stress that. That is, okay, you want to be on level terms, of course, but against a team like Canada, that is encouraging. Could get better for Wales here. Fishlock has spotted the run of Rowe, just behind Rowe. And it's back out to Fishlock. Good delivery needed, in towards Harding. Rowe again. Fishlock takes her time, in towards Holland. And it's cleared away, although Harding could get it here. It's very scrappy, and Wales putting serious pressure on here. And in the end, Rhiannon Roberts' effort was wayward. But it's taken until this late stage in the first half for Wales to really threaten that Canadian goal.
Yeah, and I don't mean any harm here to no disrespect to Rhiannon Roberts, but you could see Sophie and Rhiannon Roberts running towards that ball there, and there's only one player that I wanted to hit the ball. You've seen the screamers that Sophie Ingle has scored for Chelsea in the last couple of seasons. But no, as you said, again, you're just getting more bodies forward. I originally thought Jess Fisher could have played the pass into Harden, but you know, she knows best. That's why she's one of the best players in that American League, and delayed it just for a split second, and then a really inviting ball in as well.
It's fallen to Roberts, first time cross in towards Green. Rowe gets it across, looking for Fishlock. Well, this is much better from Wales.
Yeah, just needs a good end product then. We've seen a lot of Wales players. We saw Fishlock with the original shot, then Rachel Rowe. I think we've seen Harden in the first amount of pressure, just all snapping at the shot. You know, just need to just get a little bit more composure there, just ensure that that final ball, that final delivery, the final shot is of the best quality possible.
James playing it to Holland. Well, the touch perhaps wasn't intended for Harding, but Wales will have a corner. They'll take that at this late stage in the first half. They will take that all week long.
Yeah, first corner of the match for Wales, just as you know, we're going into added on time, so perfect time here to try and get something back.
3 minutes of added time then, and then Harrod James has gone across to take this corner for Wales. It's much more sparsely populated penalty area than many of the corner kicks that we've seen down the other end. Rhiannon Roberts, Gemma Evans, they will be clear targets here, I'm sure. In it comes towards Evans, who attacked the ball. Here's Ingle. Just lofts the ball back into the penalty area. Flag has gone up. I think we were waiting for it.
Yeah. Interesting, because obviously with Angharad James taking it as a naturally right-footed player, it's going to be an outswinger there, where we're used to seeing when Gemma Evans is on the pitch there as a left footer, obviously her in-swingers, but when we take Gemma Evans away to take the corners, to deliver them, obviously you take her height away, and she scored a couple of goals for, well, I think she scored against Spurs for Bristol. You know, with her head, you know, her presence, her height, and Rhiannon Roberts, you want in the box. You can see why. You know, you saw Angharad James taking the delivery, but an in-swinger is always, you know, more difficult to deal with for the goalkeeper.
Woodham with the ball forward, Quinn with the header away, and Canada, who've struggled to get on the ball in the last few minutes, have tried to keep possession. Quinn loses out. James with the ball forward. Well, it just went under Green's foot, and it almost fell to Holland, who quite clumsily fell into LeBay's path. But they're encouraging signs for the second half.
Yeah, certainly. You know, so we've got to be realistic when you're playing countries like this. We are, you know, ranked a lot lower than we are a good side, but we're not used to playing teams of this calibre all the time, okay, and that intensity. So, you know, we're not expecting to be dominating the game and having a lot of possession and you know, pinning them back for large periods. You know, we're expecting to be under the cosh for the majority of the game, like we have been. But as I said, what is positive is that we're just getting a few more bodies forward as well. You know, and getting a little bit of time in the opposition penalty box more than we possibly used to have.
Well, this may be the last piece of action for this first half. Throw in from Woodham. All eyes now on the referee, unless there's one last chance for Wales to try and get forward here. Jess Fishlock has been tenacious, animated, everything you would expect from Wales's, arguably Wales's most well-known player in this team. And Lawrence will take this throw-in. And it's half-time. Well, this game still is in the balance. Canada have the lead, yes, and it was a fine finish as well from Deanne Rose. But Wales, particularly in the late stage of that first half, have caused Canada a few issues.
Yeah, obviously a disappointing goal to concede, but if you look at the outlook of the whole first half, you know, I think there's a lot of promising signs there to take out moving into that second half.
And the teams trudge off and await hopefully a second half full of goals, and maybe the first goal of the Gemma Granger era for Wales. But at half-time at the Cardiff International Sports Stadium at Leckwith, second half commentary to come, but as it is, it's Wales 0, Canada 1. So no changes for either side for this second half. And it's Wales, who finished the first half in a strong fashion, will be hoping to threaten Canada some more here. Scott on the ball, and the first throw-in of the second half goes to Wales, and the first thoughts of the second half from Gwennan Harris.
Well, just hoping that Wales have a similar performance to the first half, you know, especially at the end, as we've seen, you know, creating a little bit more of a threat.
And it is Rhiannon Roberts with the ball to Green. Wales did take time to settle in that first half, but with players like this captain Sophie Ingle, Gemma Evans, for the most part, held Canada at bay. It was a fine finish, we should say, from Deanne Rose in that first half. Their 10th international goal, the Florida Gators player. Instead of placement, put it in the roof of the net, hit with power and precision.
Yeah, there was a lot of power on that. As I said, I honestly thought she'd closed the angle off for herself, but great finish into the top corner, really.
Ball on this near side with Karl. Zadorsky finding Heitemer, who was relatively quiet in that first half. Gordon Heitemer has got strength in the air. There's a short throw, nice little flick almost of the ends. What will Gemma Granger have said to her players at half-time, I wonder?
Yeah, I'd love to have been a fly on the wall for that one, you know, just to see, you know, how she is in those situations. Obviously we know that she's worked with a lot of youth teams in the past, but having her first full role as the main manager, she has worked with England. She went to the Euros under Mark Sampson in 2017. She worked with the forwards predominantly there, so obviously she has experience with the older players. But yeah, it would have been interesting to know. I think it would have been a lot of, you know, very much more the same, but just in defensive situations be a bit, well, not a bit, be a lot better on the ball in possession, especially when you're not under pressure. You know, the quality of the passes going in need to be a lot more precise, and then make the most of these types of situations with good deliveries in.
I was about to say, what an opportunity this is for Wales. James runs over it, Rowe tries it! Well, it was wickedly taken, and clearly it was well worked on, because Fishlock acknowledges Rowe there, and it almost fooled the Canadian defence. Yeah,
it did. I think the run from Angharad James across took the one player out of the wall. It just split it then, so that's why there was the gap to go through, because normally you wouldn't see, you know, a cross go so low from that position. But I think, yeah, as I said, the run away took the defender away, and great run through. You know, there's a few Welsh players there unoccupied in the box, but just a little bit too much pace on the ball. But you know, that's something that in not much time to prepare for, as you said, I think they've only had 3 days together, or 3 or 4 days, that they've obviously come up with.
Lawrence playing it back to Giles, opting not to go all the way back to LeBay, instead to Zadorsky. Quinn under pressure from Fishlock. Well, we saw that press from Wales in that first half, and did force a few mistakes from Canada.
Yeah, you can just see again, you know, just the difference in how high we are. You know, we're not just satisfied to sit back around the halfway line and wait for them, so we're pressing a lot higher. You know, as you see, when one goes, then the rest go. So Kaylee Green has gone there.
Heitemer up against Ingle. Ingle got there first. It is a throw-in, not a corner.
Yeah, 2 Champions League semi-finalists against each other. So Heitemer playing for PSG, and she'll be playing against Lyon at the end of the month, and then obviously Sophie Ingle for Chelsea against Bayern Munich at the end of the month.
Yeah, there's quality on the pitch, no doubt about that. Karl with a throw, looking for Heitemer. Hasn't got much in the way of support. And Rachel Rowe doing an excellent defensive job there, pushing her back all over the top for O'Sullivan to collect.
Yeah, it's good pressure applied by Wales, by Rachel Rowe. They're not diving in as well. In a lot of occasions you see players diving in there and giving away silly free kicks. Instead, just force the player backwards, or into the mistake like we saw.
Ball is with Roberts. It was an intended pass, I think, for Fishlock, but it's those sorts of opportunities that you have to make the most of. Yeah,
and this is where Wales have to improve, but it's having the opportunity to be in those areas to improve. So the decision, the final decision, and the quality of the final ball through as well.
It was good skill from Fleming and then from Viance, almost putting in Rose. Ball with O'Sullivan. Cardiff City. Sullivan still holds down a regular job herself. I just wondered why Laura hasn't gone on to play in WSL maybe, or attracted perhaps bigger clubs and gone more full-time.
Yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't attracted the interest of clubs in the WSL or the WSL Championship. But it's a difficult decision to make, because at the end of the day, the girls aren't making huge amounts of money, so it's a big risk when you're already in a secure job to give that up, and it's obviously something that she feels at the moment she can't quite do. I mean, she's 29, she's still got a few years, especially in goalkeeper's years. She's got a fair few ahead of her.
Absolutely. Lawrence was in space, has done well to get round Woodham. Heavy cross in the end, goes over the heads of everyone. And Rachel Rowe showing how much gas she has in the tank. This neat ball from James to Green, elbow to elbow. Wales have the throw.
Yeah, better already, just trying to see us from progression from the first half to the second half, a lot more neat and tidy, ensuring that we're keeping hold of the ball and just getting us higher up the pitch, or winning something. So we won a free kick, a throw in, this time, but just a few signs for Lily Woodham there, up against Rose. She is quick, she's got a few skills, and she just turned her inside out there. Lily Woodham just needs to ensure that she's showing him more so back onto her left foot if she can, just trying to show it inside towards Gemma Evans instead of allowing her to play to her strengths and going down the line.
There's activity on the Canadian bench here. It looks as though Janine Becky is about to come on. In fact, there could be a double substitution. Until that happens, though, Canada on the attack with Rose, and if they can spot Carl, which they have done, this could be on for Canada. Good trickery from Carl up against Roberts. Does well to get to the byline. Good recovery though from Rhiannon Roberts. It is a corner.
Yeah, she did well to recover there. So as I was talking before, of the other side about Lily Woodham when she was up against a player, this time Carl, you could see she wanted to go down on the left side, but because she'd originally on her left foot, because she'd originally started dribbling with the right foot, that maybe posed a thought for Rhiannon Roberts as to is she going to actually cut inside. So she did well to recover with her foot position in there to actually get back when she had gone half past her.
Short corner from Canada, Scott. It was a poor pass, and Green could have been in there, but Green has gone down in a heap, in fact. And as it goes out of play, the Wales forward will receive treatment here. Such a shame, because had she just managed to nick the ball in time, then the attack could have been on.
Yeah, she was very close to getting on the end of that then, wasn't she? But she's not one that stays down long, so I don't think she will.
Confirmation that there's a change for Canada, or two changes.
Janine Becky, also leaving the field for Canada, number 11, Desiree Scott.
Desiree Scott also being replaced, in addition to Deanne Rose, the goal scorer.
Number 8, Jade Riviere.
Jade Riviere coming on of Michigan Wolverines.
It's not a bad player players, but especially Janine Becky to bring on. Plays for one of the best teams in English football, in world football. In good form at the minute as well. Scored a couple of good goals of late. Usually a regular starter as well. You'd usually see her playing. She's actually the player that unfortunately missed the penalty in the last 16 game against Sweden in the World Cup. She is one of their stand-up players, so even more of a test for young Lily Woodham.
Well, clearly Beth Priestman feels that with England approaching, time for a bit more quality on the pitch, because they haven't had it all their own way. That's a good first touch from Green. James chips it nicely. It's almost a 9-iron shot on Masters weekend. Just up towards that
like
front line.
Tommy Fleetwood's hole-in-one.
Tommy Fleetwood's hole-in-one. We've got that to look forward to on Sunday. And then on Tuesday, I think we're looking forward to that Denmark game, aren't we? At the Cardiff City Stadium. Ball is with James, just beyond Fishlock and into the path of LeBay.
Yeah, just again, need better quality there. Harry James will be disappointed with the pass on the left foot there. Just needs to come into feet. You know, ensure that the ball sticks in those situations, because that's the only way that Wales are going to build an attacking platform.
It's a neat little pass to this near side, and the attempted cross from Carl wasn't the best. Over on the other side, there's Rachel Rowe. Woodham. Rowe up against Lawrence, closed in there. Well, Lily Woodham has been composed again for a player of her age. Remember, she's only 20 years of age, the Reading player. What an experience to play against some of these top-class Canadian internationals.
Well, so it's a real opportunity for her to you know, take a mark, put a place down to start regularly as well.
Becky. Well, she had her back to goal and was trying to manoeuvre a position to get a shot on goal. Won't work out. Fleming losing out. Roberts playing it down the line. This is a good spell for Canada. I wonder how long before Gemma Granger decides to change things up, if at all.
Yeah, there's a few players out there. Charlie Escott, Carrie Jones, Fia Morgan. They're quite far away, aren't they, Simon, from you? It's hard to see at times. They're warming up at the minute, but I think, you know, they're all rotating. But you'd expect to see her stick with this team for a bit while longer, less any injuries, and then, yeah, they'll be interesting to see who she decides, you know, who's made an impression in training, because they've all been under a clean slate here, so to say, with Gemma Granger coming in, all vying for a place and an opportunity to.
Becky has done well, almost finding Lawrence inside that penalty area. Wales come away though through Fishlock. Almost a quick pass up towards Kaylee Green. Yeah, the substitutes for Wales were actually sitting just in front of us in our commentary position here, but they have now taken up their positions just by the technical area, by the byline and the touchline as well, just doing some warm-ups. But it is a significant distance, as you can see from the pictures. There's a running track around the pitch.
It's testing my eyesight, Simon, I'm not going to lie.
I'm not even going to start about mine.
No, but it's good to see. I just think, obviously, we've got Hayley Ladd, Megan Wynne missing from the squad. They're the big names missing this squad, but I just think Wales are developing a lot more depth. And, you know, Jane Ledlow was very good in the last campaign by bringing the youngsters in, you know, exposing them to this environment. She didn't make many changes in the games, but.
Ball into the middle. Is it 2-0? It is 2-0. It was a fine finish from Viens. That cross on the right-hand side was a wicked one, and O'Sullivan beaten at a near post.
Oh, disappointing for Wales in terms of they've grown into the game. They've been far better in the second half, but I think that deflection, that slight deflection, just took it away, and a great finish there. I don't think Laura O'Sullivan had any chance.
And Evelyn Viens of Paris FC on the half volley, a swooping half volley.
It's a difficult skill, you know, to try and do that as it's coming in, as it's bouncing just in front of you, and she got the connection just right. You know, there's no need to get a huge connection on the ball in those situations. You just need to guide it past the goalkeeper, which she did really, really well. But the difference, you know, you see the difference in the attacking third, you know, the quality of delivery. Okay, I know it has a deflection, but quality of delivery and has always been really threatening by the Canadians when it has come in, whereas Wales obviously have struggled to get that final ball right this evening.
Well, Canada have stepped up a gear in the last 10 minutes or so, and you feel that there could be another gear to come. Wales have to work hard here. If they could get a goal back, it would be a completely different tie, as Rowe concedes the throw. Remember, this is a team 8th in the world. Wales themselves 31st, and a growing nation in terms of FIFA rankings. But this is what friendlies are for as well. It's all about when things do get serious and the qualifying campaign starts, the next one that is, Wales will be better for this experience.
Most certainly will be, especially playing the quality of these two nations.
Ball through to Harding, keepers come out and Harding goes down! Well, the referee says no, and Harding is protesting with the assistant on this near side, and it perhaps should have been a penalty. The goalkeeper certainly took a risk, LeBay, by coming out so early.
Yeah, I don't think she was expecting Tash Harding to get on the end of it, but with Tash's pace, I think she just got it. The only thing for me that makes it maybe the reason why neither her nor the linesman have given it is because of the angle that the ball has come away. Obviously, we haven't got any replays here, but she seemed to get to the ball first, Tash Harding, but did she then play the ball onto the goalkeeper, so she's had the touch away, and that's why the ball's come off at the angle that it did.
And in those sorts of situations, you look at the reactions of the players nearby. I mean, Harding herself, absolutely furious.
Yeah, but I don't think there was many calls then or complaints from a lot of the other Welsh girls, which that kind of says for itself, doesn't it? That's the only thing I can think in terms of, as I said, we haven't seen the replay, but she did get there first, but the deflection off the goalkeeper.
Becky of Manchester City, that is a teasing ball, but an easy one, and a comfortable one for O'Sullivan to catch. And she's grown in confidence. I don't think she could have... Well, you could say that the goals at all that she could have done much about. They were two very good finishes. Yeah,
both goals were great finishes. No, there's not much she could do. She'd be disappointed with the manner of the way the balls have come in, and the players have been in those situations, because they've been unmarked on both occasions. But as you were going back and saying about these are friendlies, we were expecting tough games, and obviously you want the result, but you're looking, especially under a new manager in the first game, you're looking more for the performance. Are the players adjusting to what the expectations and the demands of the new manager are?
Fleming has played a nice ball to Becky. Roberts with the interception and the big clearance away. You can see the quality that Janine Becky has brought off the bench. According Colorado, 74th cap, 31 goals for a country, and it could get worse for Wales here. Ball into the middle to Mr. Lawrence. It's a decent attempt. Oh, what a fine goal that is from Fleming. 3-0, and O'Sullivan well beaten there. There was nothing she could do about that goal from Fleming. A spectacular effort, and it's Canada who lead 3-0.
Yeah, there's a reason that Jessie Fleming was brought over to a team like Chelsea, because of the quality that she possesses like that. You can't afford to allow players time and space in those situations. Granted, she didn't have a huge amount of time and space, but you've got to get tighter to players like that. You've got to force them backwards. You can't allow her to shift onto her right foot there. She's actually been quite quiet, I thought, in the first half. Wales had stopped her quite well, but then just a brilliant piece of magic. You could see straight away she just wanted to bend it into the outside corner, and she did. Laura O'Sullivan, as we said, had no chance of the first two goals. Well, she had even less of a chance with that, and it's disappointing, the timing, because once you concede a goal, that first 5 minutes after it is the worst time to concede again, and the game is gone now, it's fair to say.
We have seen a 10-15 minute period where Canada have really turned it up a notch, in fairness, and the quality of the goals, and that third from Fleming, it was a beautiful finish, her 11th international goal, the Chelsea player, and she won't score many better than that. O'Sullivan at full stretch.
Yeah, and I was actually just looking at, I was looking at her, but I was looking at the players past it to see that there was a couple of unmarked players again. I think Wales at times have been caught ball watching. Just need to open their body up, just square up a little bit.
And Canada really started to grow in confidence here. There's a swagger about the Canadians, but it's up with Kayleigh Green. If Wales can just get on the score sheet, that will be a positive for Gemma Granger in her first game in charge of Wales.
Yeah, as I was alluded to just before, that is, obviously you want to get the result, but as I said, with a new manager, it's the performance which is the most important thing here. Are they doing successfully the things that Gemma Granger's asked of it. We've seen, a difference in the formation, so we are going to be a little bit more open than we normally are. I'm seeing more passes in like this than we used to, being a little bit braver in possession, going forward instead of and looking for feet instead of maybe playing down the channels. But it's just trying to get the balance of when and where we play those passes.
Here's Angharad James. Ingle. Roberts. Looking for the run of Holland. He's done well, and it's a good cross. Excellent ball in, and it's found its way to Rowe. Danger not away for Canada, and Rowe unfortunately can't get that second ball in, but better from Wales. Yeah, much better. It was a great ball in, but great run in the first place by Kerry Holland. She's really posed a threat in those situations, running from deeper positions, running into the channels from midfield. And I think what surprised the Welsh players was that she took it straight away. Most players would have taken a touch, and that's why we only had one player up there at the time. Holland again delays the cross, and it comes again over the heads of Harding and out for a corner. And for the first time in Holland, sort of a wide position, we've seen two very good opportunities for Wales, and here comes a change. And Lily Woodham, who has certainly not disgraced herself again in a Wales shirt. What a promising career this young player has. And Esther Morgan is replacing her. Well, what a month for her. She only just made a full senior debut for Spurs, and now she's making a full senior debut for Wales. It'll be a moment that she will not forget as James plays the corner towards Ingle. It's worth the hits, and she can hit them from there. Perhaps on her wrong foot, but she's capable of scoring with her left, as we've seen for Chelsea. I was going to say, I don't think she has got a wrong foot. She's so two-footed. But yeah, it's a difficult evening for Lily Woodham against world-class opposition there. There's a lot of areas she's done well. There's a lot of areas that she'll learn from, she'll improve from. But again, that's the whole process of playing these types of teams and these types of friendlies. You could say, you want to play easier, lesser ranked teams to build up points in the rankings to get higher, but then you want to test yourself, and as we said, see the benchmark of the teams that we need to get up against. And as Wales look to get another cross in, I should say that we'll make this point in a moment. We'll see if Wales can get this cross in. It's a very tight space over there, and Green is free here, but Rowe went it alone. It was a good move. James, Holland, Roberts, and the early pass doesn't make it to Fishlock, and Canada get the ball away. I was about to make the remark that off camera, in fact, we're sitting just behind the substitutes, and when Lily Woodham came off, she got an encouraging handshake or a fist bump from Helen Ward, which was nice to see. Rowe, nice Cruyff turn, or Robson Kanu turn, as I like to say. Quinn with the tackle. But it's nice to see, isn't it, this mix of experience and youth. It certainly is. We've got a lot of experience here. I think we've got 5 players over 80 caps, but we've got some really exciting youngsters. That, as I was saying to you before, Jane Ludlow, previous managers, brought them into this environment, exposed them to the environment, and hopefully now they'll get more opportunities. Becky taking on 2 players. Yeah, Esther Morgan, 18 years of age, winning her first cap this evening of Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah, there's Bethan Roberts as well. I think she's only 17, or just about to turn 18. It's her first call-up. She's in from Reading. There's some really exciting youngsters, especially defensively, coming through. Well, the goal scorer, Sue Fleming, coming off. Michelle Prince also coming on. Sarah Stratigatis. And Quinn being replaced as well, as is Heitemer. And the other player coming on, Julia Grosso. So quite a few changes, and clearly they have the England game in mind. They want players to get game time here.
Yeah, and again, you know, I don't think I'm doing Wales a disservice by, you know, not being naive to say that, you know, out of the 2 games, I think Canada would be looking for the England game as the hardest game, the strongest team.
It's a shot directly at O'Sullivan, tipped over. Well, O'Sullivan again at full stretch there, and she had to be on her guard, tips it over the bar, and it wasn't a bad attempt at all. And it was Viens who hit it, and it is a corner kick. Becky with the corner for Canada. Referee ushers the ball back. She's seen something, either was a rolling ball or some sort of incident in that penalty area. It is going to be retaken. And Canada 3-0 to the good here at the Cardiff International Sports Stadium in Leckwith in Cardiff, just across the road from the Cardiff City Stadium, where Wales will play Denmark in their next friendly. It's another corner. That's a fine delivery again over the bar this time. It was Giles who powered the header over, but once again we saw that distribution and the quality from Janine Beckie.
Yeah, world-class quality there coming in. You know, you just want to put, when you're taking corners out, you want to put it in an area for your players to attack, and that was right on the money there for Giles to attack. And luckily, I think she had enough Welsh pressure underneath her to just put it off so that she couldn't guide the ball down.
It's the attack again for Canada. The shot almost coming in from Grosso. Good interception. Ingle has calmly played the ball out to Rowe. Linking up with Morgan. And that's a foul on Rowe. Free kick Wales. Well, the build-up to this, it's been so long since we've seen the Wales women's team on BBC Output. COVID-19 outbreak has really disrupted all sport at all levels. Women's football in particular has suffered greatly because of it.
Yeah, especially when it was building a lot of momentum as well. And just, you know, hopeful that the platforms that like this now will hopefully help to, you know, build that momentum and even increase it even more so.
Lawrence cuts in field, and there's plenty to aim for in that middle. Strategakis, one of them. In comes the cross in towards Strategakis, and Viens and that near post as well. Out for another corner.
Yeah, Wales are actually looking really vulnerable at the minute, especially at the back defensively. So Esther Morgan out there to you know, stop the cross. Just needs to get out a little bit quicker if possible. But then good positioning by Sophie Ingle, as I talked about before, in terms of body positioning. You know, she could see both the player and the ball. Got herself in a good position to get the interception.
Beckie with another corner. Found its target, but O'Sullivan in the end stopping that attempt on goal by Lawrence. Quickly plays the ball out to Kaylee Green. Rowe continues the run, but it's back to Roberts. Gemma Evans. Wales again using the width to try and get behind this Canadian defence. Fishlock. It's a nice pass to Harding. Worth a shot. Well, it wasn't the ultimate test for LeBay in the Canadian goal, but it was worth the attempt.
Yeah, good play actually started coming out from the back, so Wales opened back out from the back, and then we've seen, because Lily Woodham's come off, Esther Morgan's actually right-footed, so she's played it down the line. And, you know, we just starting to get, you know, up higher up the pitch, and we're losing possession of the ball again in those situations. But Wales win it back. Good play then, but Harden just needs to get her body over the ball and she strikes it.
Here's Viens, one of the goal scorers. She's been released, and after some great play from Becky, it should be said. Engel recovering. Is it damage limitation now for Wales, or do they not see a friendly in that way? Obviously you don't want to lose by a heavy score, but...
Well, we haven't seen any changes in the formation, so I don't think, they're not going and playing 5 at the back and really trying to be tight to ensure that we're not conceding more. Obviously they won't want to concede any more, obviously, but I think they're still just trying to implement the things that Gemma Granger's asked of her. You could see, as we said, we've got this 4 at the back now instead of the 5, like a three in midfield with Angharad James sitting. But when defensively, then you can see obviously one of the midfielders comes back to sit in with Angharad James. We've kept going with that system, so I think it's just trusting the process. I think they're saying that everyone says, and the players will be the same. You can't delve away from that then, halfway through a game. But at the same time, you need to know the right moments of the game, play the game. When you are under the cosh, just don't put yourself under more pressure.
Prince putting Evans under pressure. And the kick only reaches Grosser. Here's Becky. Always has that extra space. That is a beautiful cross. And it was almost 4-0. Put wide by Strategakis. But again, the talents of Manchester City's Janine Becky on show.
Yeah, great ball into the box. After good build-up play. They just make it look really easy. And then the quality of the delivery. Again, that's been the major difference between the two teams this evening, and just ensuring, once again, I've said it quite a few times already, that Wales' body position in those situations, that they just ensuring that they can see the player that's oncoming, so that they open up their body, they can see the ball, they can see the player, instead of just ball watching.
And 2 players receiving treatment, one for Canada, Nichelle Prince, and Kelly Green is down as well. I think that was an off-the-ball incident.
No, I think she's still struggling from that original injury that she got, I think, at the start of the first half, wasn't it? With her ankle. She's carried on, but...
Yeah, I think if you're Gemma Granger, you don't want to take too many risks. You want to say, of course, Kaylee, this is your 50th cap, you want to stay on the field, but don't take any unnecessary risks here.
No, and I do think that out of the 2 games, the Denmark game is the one that is a lot more realistic in terms of I think they're ranked 12th, 13th in the world. They're still one of the best teams. They continuously or regularly get into European finals. They weren't actually at the last World Cup, which was a shock. I think they reached the final of the last European Championships. So that's the game that they want to look at, because of the fact that we could be coming up against a team of that calibre in the European qualifiers for the World Cup that's coming up in 2023.
You see there the group of Canadian players given instructions by Bev Priestman, who not only was assistant to Phil Neville, actually before that was Canadian assistant anyway, assistant to John Herdman.
Yeah, they've got quite similar CVs, haven't they? I think Gemma Granger's been at England, but a lot of youth work with England, whereas Priestman's done a lot of work again with youth, or been assistant manager with Canada, England. She had a spell with New Zealand as well. So, considering their age, they've both packed a lot into their short careers already.
Yeah, in terms of ages, they're not far off each other. Gemma Granger only 34. And, sorry, Granger 38, I should say. Bev Priestman 34. It's a young person's game, coaching now, isn't it? And both, of course, goes without saying, UEFA Pro Licence holders, which is part of the course. You have to have that these days. And it's not a case of just writing a team on a team sheet, formation, and that's it. There's so much more that goes into coaching, particularly international level these days. Here's Rowe. A deflected cross could find its way to James. Holland beaten to it, and the break is on for Lawrence. Gets around Holland. Good pace from Lawrence. And forced back to Prince. Canada all the way back to LeBay, who hasn't been troubled really in this second half, which is something that maybe will disappoint Gemma Granger. There was that snapshot from Natasha Harding, a few decent crosses from Holland and from Rowe. But Wales have a throw here. With Green back on her feet, leaves this one to Rhiannon Roberts. Rowe back to Roberts, Rowe again. Oh, good skills. Great skills from Rowe, and not a bad delivery either.
Great skill, just needs that ball to be in an area where they can attack in front of the players.
Back in from Harding, Canada up towards Becky. And they could break again here. They do have an extra gear, and so does this player Becky, up against Ingle. It's a decent attempt, and it just goes wide. A skewed attempt in the end from Prince, and it just went wide of the post. I think O'Sullivan would have seen it anyway. Yeah,
but great defending by Sophie Ingle, because as Janine Becky was running onto her, you know, that's a horrible position to be in as a defender when you've got a player of that quality running at you at pace, and especially when you're in the box as well. But what she ensured that her body position was showing Becky onto her left foot. Obviously she wants to come back on her right, so when she did come back onto her right, Sophie Ingle was in a position there to block off the back post, and that's why we saw the deflection.
Strategakis. Ingle forced back to Gemma Evans, and under the pressure plays it back to O'Sullivan. Rowe, who's seen a lot of the ball in the last 10 minutes or so, and that's a nice pass to Green.
Yeah, it's good build-up, because they've actually skipped over a whole line of the Canadian defence with the ball into Rowe, which was a difficult ball, but she controlled it well, and Hannah James has been a support in those positions, those square positions all evening. But then we just need that ball, as we said before, to make sure that it's kept for Wales, so that they can build off that.
Lawrence wrestling for it with Morgan. Prince has it into the middle, it's Viance. Well, she was closed down very quickly by both Ingle and O'Sullivan. It was a tight angle, but it is another Canada corner. And another decent Becky delivery expected, I'm sure. You'll note the Welsh defence all camped in that 6-yard area. O'Sullivan surrounded in her goal. It's another deep delivery into that back post. Viens just put it wide, kind of stabbed at it with her left foot.
Yeah, another good ball in. As you said, we always feel that an in-swinger would be more difficult to deal with, but I do feel like some of those out-swingers, when they're curling in like that, they're really hard for goalkeepers, because they feel like they want to come out for it, but then it's just swinging away from them. She's continuously produced since she's come on, and she's Janine Becky.
Lawrence beaten to the header by Holland. Grosso. One back by Kaylee Green. She's got Fishlock in front of her. Here is Jess Fishlock. Took a heavy touch. Too many players around her in the end. I think was waiting for the cavalry to arrive.
Yeah, you can see she was trying to get back on her favourite foot, on her right foot, but just as she tried to cut back in, the defender had read it well and managed to just stick her foot out to get the interception there.
Recovery from Roberts. Oh, it's a poor pass. That has put James under unnecessary pressure. She did well there, and Hannah James. And that's a nice ping from Ingle over to Morgan. Evans, it was a heavy pass to her. Prince almost taking advantage.
Gosh, she is so quick. You know, she normally starts as well for Canada. I'm sure she started the majority of the games in the World Cup.
Plays for Houston Dash.
Yeah, as would Janine Becky then as well. So you've got, you know, a front four, so to say, of Prince, Becky, Fleming and Sinclair. You know. Not bad, is it?
No, absolutely not. Played in the last World Cup, of course. That last 16 defeat. Rowe has done well. Bit too eager. I don't think Rachel Rowe can have too many complaints. It is a booking, and in fairness, Rachel Rowe has got across and shown sportsmanship. And well, she's a tenacious character. She's a bubbly character as well off the field. Great to interview, and I had that luck to interview her out in Belarus when she scored that goal out in Borisov, and she had the biggest smile I think I've ever seen on anyone.
Yeah, she's just come back from a long-term injury, and because we actually missed her when we played England at home. We lost 3-0 in that last game of the campaign, but I'm just enjoying seeing her play in a little bit of a higher position, because she's so tricky. You know, she can go either way. She skips past players. She's a little bit like, I should say, like Luis Suarez. She just bounce the ball off players' legs, and you know, she'll just find ways past players in tight areas, which will help to create things for Wales, like she did with that goal in Belarus with the left foot.
Holland playing it to Esther Morgan. Well, it's interesting, we haven't seen any further changes yet from Gemma Granger. I don't know if they're on their way at all, but this is a squad that is finding its feet under a new coach. That's inevitable. There's an awful lot of time, as you said in the first half, Gwenan, to work with these players. No,
and that's why you can't expect to see, you know, a massive changes to the way we have seen changes, as I've said. But
Green is onside and still has it. Green tried the ball and Rowe can't get on the end of it, and it goes out for a Canada throw.
Yeah, so you're not going to see a huge amount of progress being made in 3 or 4 days, but you know, as we said, we've seen the difference in the formation there. We're getting more bodies forward and pressing a little bit higher up the pitch as well, so it'll take time. You know, we're looking to play out the back possibly a little bit more than we did under the last manager, but again, you know, that takes time. I've got, you know, Hayley Ladd would 100% be in the starting lineup, so she's got one player missing, so maybe there'll be some tweaks to personnel playing in the defence and midfield as well, but hopefully you know, we'll see a few more improvements again against Denmark on Tuesday night.
Good first touch from Roberts, plays it to Rowe. It's a deep cross looking for Harding, did well to keep it in.
She did really well to keep that in. Just pity that Kaylee Green, I don't think, had the same trust in her there that she was going to get on the end of it, just to react. But again, you know, some good play at times.
Yeah, plenty of perseverance as well. I think that will please Gemma Granger. It's those games against similarly ranked teams that will matter in qualifying, I'm sure, when push comes to shove, as Becky tries to win the ball here.
Yeah, and Wales will be so much better for this game, for the intensity, the ruthlessness at times of Canada as well. Yeah, and I think the goals that were conceded, the third goal was a superb goal by Jessie Fleming, but the other two are definitely ones that can be looked down and be eradicated as well. So when you are conceding, obviously it's disappointing to concede goals in that manner, but they're easy work-ons, which will please Gemma Granger in the fact that she can try and eradicate them easily.
Carl with the throw. Wales would love to finish on a high here. Get a goal against this talented Canadian team. Jaworski. I think what's clear is that Canada, when they needed to go up a gear, they did. And there was that 10-15 minute spell where they hit Wales with those 2 goals to make it 3-0.
Yeah, it just goes to show the depth of the squad that they've got as well, the quality they've got. As you said, they're building towards the Olympics this summer, and you've only got to look at the list of clubs that they're playing at. You know, even some of the youngsters that come in are playing, and they've been in the system over in America where they're training and playing every single day. You know, we've still got semi-professional players here that have got, you know, 40, 50 caps for their country, so they're on a little bit of a different level in that aspect, but we've competed well at times.
Roberts wins the corner, but in fact it's gone out for a throw. Interested to see what Gemma Granger does now ahead of the Denmark game. They'll give some other squad members game time, or again look to find that favoured formation and favoured 11 as Roberts fails to find a Wales player there.
Yeah, I think there might be a few changes, but I think you'll see quite a similar team because of the calibre of the team that we're coming up against. You know, they're again ranked higher than us. They're a really good test.
Good touch, vital touch from Fishlock. Rowe, Fishlock again. Did well to find James. It's a good cross towards Green and that back post. Green will try the effort. 3 minutes of added time to come.
Good play by the Redden trio there, but I'd love to have seen Angharad James just whip that in with a little bit more pace in front of the players to attack.
Roberts tries the early cross, wins the throw. Well, Wales are finishing on a bit of a high here. Taken short to Angharad James. Rowe gets to the byline, wins the corner. And how nice would it be to get an added time goal, just to finish the evening on a little bit more of a positive note.
Yeah, that would be lovely, wouldn't it?
And it's Angharad James who's got the responsibility of putting in this cross. This may well be the last opportunity for Wales, and for the game as a whole. One short. Well, the wrong option really. Fishlock will be disappointed with that, because Canada can march forward, and look at the break here from Nichelle Prince. She is rapidly quick, and she could finish it for Canada here. She's going all the way, and her final touch let her down, but how quick is she?
Oh wow, she's got some pace to burn. I did think originally that we shouldn't have gone for the short with her closing down. Her poor passing then just allowed her to break, and I was starting to worry because I thought Sophie Ingle had actually given her a little bit too much room to run into by trying to delay her originally. But as I said, she knows best, and got across perfectly well in good time then to cut the shot off. But they've got a lot of different options, Canada, haven't they? They're quite an exciting team in that aspect, that they've got players that are good coming to feet and creating, like your Jessie Flemings and your Janine Becky, but they've got some pace as well.
Ball back with O'Sullivan. All eyes on the referee now. This could well be it for this international friendly. Gemma Evans. Maybe one last attempt to attack from Wales, although O'Sullivan under pressure. Well, very calm from Laura O'Sullivan. And that's nice from Fishlock. One last chance for Wales then. Rowe is released. Decent cross needed. Couldn't find Kaylee Green. Here's Angharad James. One last ball into the middle. Again towards Green. And this is where Wales were likely to be vulnerable. Becky will take an early effort. Good block from Gemma Evans, and it comes to nothing in the end. That may well be that.
You could see that coming, because obviously Wales had bombed so many bodies forward.
And it's over. Well, not the winning start that Gemma Grange would have wanted, but Gemma Granger will at least be buoyed by the fact that Wales at times kept Canada at bay, but it was the team ranked number 8 in the world that stepped up a gear when it mattered most.
Which you would 100% expect. You know, this was never going to be an easy game for Gemma Granger to come straight into, but plenty of positives to take. You know, some disappointing goals to concede, and I'm sure she'll be, you know, really disappointed with the way and the manner of those first 2 goals, but some real positives. You can see, you know, maybe just the way that Wales are wanting to go now in the future in this campaign, with a more positive formation and mindset.
Well, there were 3 very well taken goals for Canada. The third in particular was something special from Jessie Fleming. Wales disgraced themselves, but fair to say they were outclassed by a team who are one of the best in the world. It's finished at the International Sports Stadium here in Cardiff, in Leckwith. Wales 0, Canada 3.